Welcome back to Juan Carlos ESL. I'm Juan Carlos Villao, and looking forward to teaching you another special English class. And this lesson will be lesson 2 for newcomers. So this is Juan Carlos ESL, newcomers lesson 2. So the title of this lesson is the American English alphabet and spelling. So the English alphabet and spelling is what we will go over in this class. Bienvenidos a todos. Yo soy Juan Carlos Villao y bienvenidos a la lección 2. Y en esta clase de inglés vamos a hablar de todas las letras del lenguaje de inglés. Vamos a hablar en detalles, asuntos de cada letra, el abecedario y también cómo escribir y pronunciar. So let's begin. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's go here. Just give me a moment. All right, so hopefully everyone... Okay, so everyone should be able to see my screen. I'm going to go ahead and share a slide. All right, so let's all begin now. JuanCarlosESL, newcomers, Unit 1, getting started. Lesson 2, alphabet and spelling. So what WIDA standards are we applying in this lesson? So just like in the previous lesson, we talked about standards from WIDA, we're complying with WIDA standards. In this lesson, WIDA Standard 1, social and instructional language. So students will engage in everyday social interactions to communicate basic needs and ideas. To be more specific, we're going to use simple greetings and introductions, including spelling names and words. So in the previous lesson, lesson 1, we talked about greetings and introductions. Here, we're going to add to it by spelling names and words. We're going to practice the alphabet. Which is basically relating to standard 2 of WIDA, the language of language arts. We're going to recognize and produce alphabetic letters and sounds, and then we're going to identify and spell simple words. Okay, as you can see, you already have 26 letters in the alphabet in front of you, but we're going to go in details and how to pronounce each letter. Así como vemos, vamos a estar hablando de estándares, no solo de las letras del abecedario, pero también vamos a identificar y cómo deletrar palabras simples en el lenguaje de inglés. So standard 5, the language of social studies, which is also very important. Students will participate in discussions about cultural topics, including the role of language in economic success. So this is going to be an interesting topic. So también vamos a hablar del lenguaje de estudios sociales. Estudiantes van a estar participando en discursos, asuntos de temas culturales, asuntos de qué es la función del lenguaje, asuntos de éxito económico. Entonces sabemos que muchos están aquí para aprender inglés, para mejorar sus oportunidades en conseguir un mejor trabajo o conseguir una carrera universitaria. So we're going to discuss those details. We're going to go into details. What is the role of language in economic success? As I just mentioned in Spanish, when we're here to learn English to get a better job or even pursue a college education. So we're going to discuss that. All right, so let's continue. So WIDA, we talked about WIDA standards. This lesson is aligned to WIDA standards as we just went over 2 previous standards. Also for newcomers, language proficiency, and Unit 1, getting started. So what are the lesson objectives? So English as a second language objectives. In this lesson, students will learn and practice the English alphabet pronunciation, Students will practice spelling 26 common words in English. Remember in the previous lesson, we talked about in order to know English well, you should be able to apply and acquire 2,000 to 3,000 English words. Here we're going to talk about 26 in particular. Students will engage in conversations using alphabet and spelling, and then students will gain awareness of the economic impact of English-speaking countries. So it's going to be a fascinating topic. So that last objective regarding gaining awareness of the economic impact of English-speaking countries, that is going to be part of our icebreaker. So it's going to be a very fun icebreaker. Entonces, asuntos de los objetivos, los estudiantes van a aprender y practicar la pronunciación del abecedario en inglés. Vamos a estar estudiando cómo se deletrea 26 palabras en común en lenguaje de inglés. Y también vamos a estar entrando a conversaciones, asunto del abecedario y cómo deletrar palabras en particulares. Y también vamos a tomar en cuenta el impacto económico que el inglés tiene en países donde se habla inglés. All right, so let's continue. So lesson components, icebreaker, warm up. So similar to what we saw in the previous lesson, we had an outline of lesson components. We're going to do the same in this lesson. We will start off with an icebreaker, followed by a warm up, a vocabulary segment, a guided practice exercise, an independent practice exercise, as well as an exit ticket, and then follow by a spelling test. The spelling test will have 26 words. So it should be a very fascinating lesson. I hope you enjoy it as much as I will enjoy teaching it. So the outline in regards to timeline, icebreaker warm-up will take approximately 10 minutes or so. Vocabulary segment, another 10 minutes. Guided practice, 30 minutes. Independent practice, 30 minutes. And then exit ticket and spelling test, 20 minutes. So overall, we're looking at an hour and 40 minutes. However, this is an estimation. It can vary. It could be a little bit more. It could be less, depending how much time you invest in each segment. All right, icebreaker. So discussion prompts. So question 1, did you know countries where English is a primary language are doing economically better than other countries in the world? Why do you think this is so? So just to make a correction here, it should be question. So why do you think this is so? Did you know, why do you think this is happening? Why are English-speaking countries doing better economically speaking than other countries? Entonces la pregunta dice, ¿por qué en los países donde el inglés es el lenguaje principal están haciendo mejor económicamente comparando a otros países del mundo? ¿Por qué usted cree que ese es el caso? Why do you think this is the case? It could be for a number of reasons. It could be a number of factors. We're going to go into those factors, but I want the reason I bring this up is for you to think about it first. Think about that. Why are English-speaking countries doing better than other countries where English is not spoken? So just think about that for a moment. ¿Por qué usted cree que en países donde se habla inglés está haciendo mejor económicamente que en otros países donde no se habla inglés? Piénselo un rato. And then the next question we're going to add to this prompt is, can you identify any of these countries? Can you identify any of these countries where they're doing much better than other countries where English is not spoken? So let me make this correction. Just bear with me. And there we go. So we're going to go into details. What are these other countries where they speak English, and why are they doing better than other countries? Can you identify any of these countries? obviously, in the United States of America. If you're here in the United States, you know that here, United States, the primary language is English. But where else in the world do you think they speak English? So think about that. I will share a few with you. So I mentioned the United States of America. So there are 50 states here in the United States. This is just an icebreaker, just to start engaging with the conversation and bringing up awareness and why English speaking countries are doing more economically speaking or doing better, and what is the impact of the English language in these countries. So the population of the United States is 340 million people. That was an estimation in 2024. And you can see in this map, you see the beautiful American flag. You also see the United States on the world map, which is shaded in red. And then these are the 50 states. And this is the map of the United States: Alaska, Hawaii, Florida, and you have Texas, California, and you all these beautiful states. So in all these states of the United States of America, the English is spoken. Okay, so the United States is just one country where English is spoken. Another country is known as Great Britain. So again, yes, the world map, here's the United States. On the other side, across the Atlantic Ocean, you see Great Britain shaded in red here in the world map. This is the Great Britain flag. And then another map, a closer look at the map of Great Britain. In Great Britain, the population is 69.23 million. So that's a large population where people speak English. Of course, there is a difference. Some people have taken into account that American English is different than British English. There is a slight difference between the two, but for most part, they do communicate that it is very similar. But overall, it's still English, even though there are some differences, and they can very well communicate directly, understand one another. So that is Great Britain. Number 3 on our prompt is New Zealand. New Zealand is also an English-speaking country. You can see the world map. Here's Asia, here's Africa, here's Australia, and then here down to southeastern part of the map from Australia is New Zealand. And the closer up, what New Zealand looks like, basically an island. And then you see the flag of New Zealand. And the population of New Zealand is 5.3 million people. And that was an estimation back in 2024. So that is another English-speaking country where if you're a tourist and you like to travel and you want to practice your English, either all these countries I'm going over, it will be a great opportunity for you to practice your English as well. Number 4 is Canada. It's a neighbor of the United States. You can see the world map. We're shaded in red. It's Canada. And then here's a closer look at Canada. This is north of the United States. And the population in Canada is 41.29 million people. So, and that's an estimation in 2024. So obviously every year these numbers will vary. This is just an estimation. It's an estimation. That means it could be approximately higher or lower than this number today. So whenever you're watching this video. Entonces, otro país donde se habla inglés y están haciendo mejor económicamente es el país de Canadá, el norte de los Estados Unidos. Usted lo ve aquí en el mapa. También la población es 41 millones de personas. So why am I bringing this up? The reason I'm mentioning these numbers and regarding the population in these English-speaking countries is to take into account and bring awareness as one of the objectives, is why it's so critical that we communicate in English, because so many people know English. And if we want to communicate with a larger population or more people, it's important to know English, not just for work, not just for school, but also for the sake of communication. We need to communicate. Entonces, ¿por qué estoy mencionando estos números, asunto de población? Es para que ustedes tomen en cuenta la cantidad de personas durante todo el mundo que hablan inglés. No solo aprender inglés para conseguir un mejor trabajo o también para conseguir una carrera universitaria, pero también para comunicarse, para poder comunicarse durante más personas durante el mundo. Comunicación, en otras palabras, es otra razón que estamos aprendiendo el inglés. So communication is another reason why we're learning English. So Australia, the fifth country I'm mentioning. So you can see Australia shaded in red, and happens to be a country, an island, and a continent. So the only country, island known as recognized as a continent is Australia. So you can see Australia more closer up, and it's an island, it's a continent, and it's a country. So the population in Australia is 27.2 million people. Again, that was an estimation back in 2024. So 27.2 million people, that's a lot of people. So all these numbers are adding up. So en Australia hay más de 27 millones de personas que hablan el inglés. Es un país que también que el inglés es el lenguaje principal. And finally, the last country I'm going to share with you in this discussion prompt is India. So India, the population in India is 1.4 billion people. India is recognized as the most populated democratic country in the world today. It surpassed China in 2023. So that's a lot of people. So, and yes, English is one of the primary languages in India. It's actually a regulation, a requirement for them to learn English in India. So that is why it is mentioned in this discussion as well. Entonces, en la India hay más de 1.4 billones de personas. Sí, me escuchó bien, billón. 1.4 billones de personas. Y ahí también se exige el lenguaje de inglés, que es una de las regulaciones que la gente tiene que aprender inglés en la India. Y es el país que tiene más gente en el mundo, que ya superó a la China en 2023. Ahora India es el país donde hay más gente. En este ejemplo es 1.4 billones de personas. So you add all these numbers up, and what do you get? So adding all 6 countries, here we have the 6 countries I just shared with you: the United States, Great Britain, New Zealand, Canada, Australia, and India. That's not all of them. There are more English-speaking countries. I'm only mentioning 6, but I'm just bringing up 6 examples. So why is this so critical? Why is learning English so critical? You add all these populations, you're going to end up with 1.882 million people just in 6 countries that speak English as a primary language. That's more than 1/6 of the world's population. 1.882 million people that speak English, and within those 6 countries. Just those 6 countries. There's more English-speaking countries. I didn't mention Africa. There are English-speaking countries in Africa, as well as Belize and Central America. So, and it's not mentioned, but you add all these people from all these English-speaking countries, you get more than 1/6 of the world's population. That is the awareness I wanted to share with you. So why learning English is so critical and important. Entonces, lo que estoy haciendo aquí es, estamos sumando la población de cada país donde se habla inglés, y en total llegamos a más de 1.8 billones de personas solo en 6 países. Hay más países donde se habla inglés, nomás estoy mencionando 6 países en este ejemplo, y nomás para compartir con ustedes que más de una parte de 6 partes del mundo donde se habla inglés. So 1/6 of the world's population, more than 1/6 of the world's population speak English. So that's the awareness I wanted to share with you and why it's so critical to learn English. All right, so how can learning English help people in countries succeed? So think about that for a moment. Excuse me. English has become a tool to improve your lives, your quality of life, the opportunities, and also your future. To seek a better future, people are becoming bilingual by learning English because they know that their future is brighter if they know English as a second language. So here are some examples, some facts. English is used for many purposes around the world, including business, education, communication, science, and technology, as well as government and diplomacy. So here you have more examples where English is spoken. We're not going to get into all of them, but I just wanted to share six with you. And also the reasons why, the purpose of English today. Uh, Business, if you're a salesperson, international business is also very popular. Education, students from all around the world want to come here to the United States to study a college education. Very popular place to come to pursue a college education is here in the United States. So in order to enroll in a university, obviously you have to know English, and not just any English. It has to be academic English, intellectual English, which in order to verify that your English is proficient, you have to take the test of English as a foreign language known as a TOEFL. So that's a different lesson. I'll get into that in another video. I don't want to go into too many details here in the Newcomers Lesson 2 video. Entonces, ¿por qué es el inglés? Tiene muchos propósitos durante todo el mundo. El negocio, educación, comunicación, ciencia y tecnología, también para gobernar y también la diplomacia. Entonces, por eso se aprende el inglés. So there are 80 countries in the world where English is spoken as the official, primary, or as a second language. 80. And we only went over six. And then if you add them all up, it's over 2 billion people that speak English. That's 1/3 of the world population. 1/3. So 1/3 of the world population speak English. Tourism also has increased in the number of people wanting to learn English due to having more customers, more business opportunities, and more places to visit. English is the international language of business, known as the lingua franca. Lingua franca means the international language where two individuals that don't speak the same native language, they could communicate with English. That is the lingua franca. That is the meaning of lingua franca. And English is the international language of business. So main reasons why people want to learn English is to have better jobs, better job opportunities, and pursue a college education. And an example, a student from Brazil whose native language is Brazilian Portuguese, who wants to study in Harvard, must first learn English. So that's an example. Okay. So it's very fascinating. I enjoy speaking about English speaking countries. You can see the world map up above, where shaded in dark green. Those are the countries I shared with you earlier, and also in blue. So it's light navy blue color, I would say, and then blues. And then you see Great Britain and Europe. Obviously, Europe is a continent that also speaks English. Canada. So this is just the icebreaker prompt I wanted to share with you. Hope you enjoyed it. Now we're going to move on to our warm-up. So warm-up objective, we're going to activate prior knowledge and practice alphabet recognition and spelling. Practice saying the alphabet. So one thing is to know the letters of the alphabet. It's another to actually know how to pronounce the alphabet. So we're going to emphasize that in this lesson. We're going to emphasize the pronunciation, English alphabet. So I'm going to go ahead and read it with you horizontally. So horizontally, and then from left to right. Entonces vamos a leer el abecedario en inglés. Es una cosa saber las letras en el abecedario en inglés, pero es otra cosa saber la pronunciación de cada letra. So let's begin. A, 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 B, 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 C, 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 D, 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 E, 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 F, 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 G, 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 H, 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 I, 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 J, 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 K, 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 L, 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 M, 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 N, 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 O, 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 P, 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 Q, 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 R, 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 S, 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 T, 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 U, 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 V, 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 W, 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 X, 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 Y, 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 Z, 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 Z. All right, so there you have the English alphabet. I hope you followed along in this drill. I read each letter for you 3 times. Espero que me siguieron. Leí cada letra 3 veces y que lo hayan practicado. So, number 2, we're going to spell your name out loud in English. So we just finished number 1 by practice saying the alphabet. Now, number 2 in this warm-up is to spell your name aloud in English. So let me give you an example. My name is Juan. It is spelled Juan. Juan. What's your name and how do you spell it? So here, this exercise could do a pair exercise where 2 students get together and they exchange their names, introducing themselves, saying their name, and spelling it out loud to their partner. So just like in this example, if I had a partner, I will introduce myself and then spell it out for them. Okay. So I'll give you a moment. You can pause the video to practice this exercise. So once you complete the exercise, this is the template that you could use for the number 2 of the warm-up. My name is, and then you fill in the blank with your first name. It is spelled, and then you outline each letter. Obviously, not all names have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 letters. It will vary. This is just an example. Okay, so you put the number of letters that require to spell out your name. So what's your name and how do you spell it? And then finally, number 3 in our warm-up, you're going to identify the vowels. So we did number 1 and 2. Now we're going to identify the vowels. Same alphabet, same English alphabet, no, more specifically, the vowels. Ahora, número 3, vamos a tomar en cuenta los vocales. ¿Cuáles son los vocales del abecedario en lenguaje de inglés? So we saw the English alphabet earlier. Now let's identify the vowels. So let's all repeat. A, 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 E, 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 I, 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 O, 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 U, U, U. So you have A, E, I, O, U, known as the vowels. One more time. A, E, I, O, U. So to make it more easier, I'll outline in one slide. Let's all read it together. A, 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 E, 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 I, 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 O, 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 U, 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 A, E, I, O, U, A, E, I, O, U, A, E, I, O, U. So that you, ladies and gentlemen, are your English vowels. Also notice that I have a capital letter and a lowercase letter as well in each letter. So that way you know how it is written. Tome en cuenta que también tengo la letra mayúscula y la letra minúscula para que tome en cuenta cómo se escribe en cada letra. Y también ahorita practicamos la pronunciación. Okay, if you have any questions about the English alphabet or the vowels, I invite you to send me an email or post a comment in my YouTube channel or in my Teachers Pay Teachers store. I'll be more than happy to go over any questions you may have. All right, so now that we have gone